I obviously have zero self-control when it comes to buying books, and I am back again with another massive book haul. Hi, welcome back to my channel, or a very warm welcome if you're new here. My name is Sophie, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you all of the books that I hauled in April and also in the start of May. And I think it's probably actually going to be the largest book haul that I have done on this channel. And yeah, I really didn't expect this to happen. So I think I have about 40 books to show you. So I think there are a few reasons why this haul is a little bit larger than normal. The first is that it was my birthday on the 1st of May. So I also have my birthday book haul as part of this video, and I do have a very exciting box set to show you in that part. And then also it's prize season, so I have the shortlist for 2 of the prizes, so the International Booker Prize and the Women's Prize for Fiction. And then also some of my sequels from book boxes arrived, and those were pre-orders from some of them last year. So I will break this video up into a few sections. So I'll have the birthday book haul, the prizes, then I've got sequels from book boxes. I also have some books that were sent to me from publishers, and then I have pretty much the rest of the books that I hold. So before I get into this book haul, please do give this video a like if you enjoy it, and also subscribe to my channel for more of my content. So I think that I'm going to start with the books that I hauled because of the different prizes, but do stay tuned for later in the video when I am going to show you some special edition books as well, and of course that exciting box set that I mentioned as part of my birthday haul. So I'm going to start with the Women's Prize for Fiction, and that's these 6 books here. So I did buy 3 of the books from the long list, which I was most excited to read, but sadly they didn't make the shortlist, so there were still 6 that I had to buy to read the shortlist. And I do like to read the long list, but I generally don't end up doing that as there's 16 books, but I definitely like to read the shortlist at least. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what each of these prize books is about, as I did make 2 shortlist vlogs for the Women's Prize for Fiction and also the International Booker Prize, where I discuss more about those books, what they're about, and my thoughts on them. So yeah, I'm just going to go through very quickly these books. So first up is Flashlight by Suzanne Choi, and this one is about a family who go on a summer holiday to a coastal Japanese town, and the young daughter and the father go out on the breakwater, and the father goes missing, presumed drowned, and the mother and daughter have to return to America without knowing what happened to the father, and then slowly they uncover things about the father's past. And this one is a little bit chunkier than the others on this list, so yeah, it is around, yeah, just over 500 pages, so yeah, this one is going to be the longest on that list. So next up is another book which happens to be part of my birthday book haul as well, and this is Dominion by Addie E. Kitchens, and this one sounds really interesting. It's set in Mississippi, in a town, and it's going to follow this minister and his wife, and then some event happens to their son and it kind of reflects badly on the family. So this is going to focus on the patriarchy and how the women in this town are surviving, and I'm really excited to read this one. Then next on the shortlist is Heart the Lover by Lily King. So this one sounds like a really interesting romance story. So we follow this woman who has a family, and then someone from her past arrives on her doorstep, and then she remembers relationships past, and it kind of brings her past and present together and makes her confront things that happened in her youth. So next I have Kingfisher by Rosie Kelly, and this is about an academic who becomes infatuated with his colleague and starts a relationship with her, but then this threatens his relationship with his partner Michael, and there's also simultaneous illnesses as well. So I think this is going to explore themes of grief and love, and yeah, seems quite interesting. Then I have The Mercy Step by Maria Hutchinson, and this one follows a black family in Britain, I think in the 1960s. Yeah, in Bradford in 1962. And we have the character of Mercy, who is pretty much ignored by her family and has kind of a rough start to life. And her mother pays most of her attention to the church, and her father, I think, becomes violent, and she is a lover of books, and I think she finds an escape in books. But this is really going to tell the perspective of a child in a black family in 1960s Britain, which sounds really interesting. And then the book that I am most looking forward to on the shortlist is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. And this follows the character of Sybil, who I think is in her 70s or her 80s, and she's lived her whole life through writing letters. And I think this is told in a series of letters, and then letters arrive from someone in her past, causing her to confront things that happened in her past. And this one sounds really interesting. So then I have the International Booker Prize shortlist. So that's this 6 books here. So this is quite an exciting list. So we have The Nights Are Quiet in Tehran, and this is by Shida Bazir and translated from the German. And I think this follows the lives of several people from one family who have Iranian heritage and are living in Germany. And it's going to follow different generations. So this one sounds really interesting. Then I have The Director by Daniel Kehlmann. So this again was translated from the German, and this is set in World War II, and we follow the story of G.W. Pabst, who is one of the most famous cinema directors, and he ends up exiled, and then he gets an offer from Joseph Goebbels in Nazi Germany to kind of tempt him to come back to his homeland. So this one does sound intriguing as well. So next I have Taiwan Travelogue by Yang Shuzhang Zi, and I think this is set in the 1930s in Taiwan, and it follows a young Japanese author who travels from Japan to Taiwan, and she meets up with her interpreter who gives her glimpses into island life, and the two bond over cuisine and fall in love. And this one sounds really good. Then perhaps the book that I'm most excited about reading on the International Booker shortlist, and that's The Witch by Marie Ndiaye. And this is translated from the French, and it's about a small French town, and there's kind of a lineage of witchcraft, but I don't think it's like a fantasy. It's more realistic and more about female empowerment, and we follow this woman who is living a mediocre life in France somewhere, and she has 2 daughters who are showing great promise as a witch, yet she struggles to use her powers for anything. And then we have her mother who is reluctant to even accept her lineage of witchcraft. And this one just sounds like something that I will really enjoy. So then I have She Who Remains by Reni Karabash, and this was translated from the Bulgarian, and this is set up high in the mountains, and it's set in a village which is ruled by ancient laws and ancient beliefs. And we follow our main character who, to escape an arranged marriage, she becomes a sworn virgin, and from this point she renounces her womanhood and lives as a man. So this one looks really interesting. Then I have On Earth as It Is Beneath by Anna Paula Meyer, and this one is set in a penal colony that's on the grounds of old slave lands where slaves were tortured, and it is now a prison, but the prison is very old and they're just winding everything down. So it follows kind of the end of this penal colony, and it had such promise in the beginning. It vowed to rehabilitate the men that went there, but it turns out that it didn't do any of that. And then every full moon night, the prison officer, he sets 2 men free from this prison and gives them a chance at survival, but the warden then hunts them out in the wild with rifles. And I am really interested to read this one, and I'm eager to see what the author is going to do. As it's such a small book, I'm interested to see how the narrative is going to work in this one. So next I will move on to the books that I received from publishers. So I was kindly sent 3 books this month from publishers. So the first one is Honey in the Wound, and this is by Yi Yong Han. And I did have a proof copy of this from the publisher, but on release day they did send me a finished copy, which is really nice. And I did manage to read this book in April, and yeah, I will give you my full thoughts on this in my April wrap up. But let's just say I did really enjoy this. I love the story, and the magical realism was done so well, and it was really illuminating. So it follows a generation of women who each have different powers. And ultimately it is historical fiction, but with some magical realism in. And also it does touch on this topic that I had no prior knowledge of. So yeah, it was quite informative as well. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. But as I said, I will give you more thoughts on this in my April wrap up. And yeah, this one was kindly sent by Manila Press. Then I have one which I think came from Titan Press, but it didn't come with any kind of information in it. It just came with the book. So yeah, as it is published by Titan Books, I think it did come from them. So this is The Lighthouse at the End of the World by Philip A. Sugars. And I haven't heard of this one before, so I am going to read a quick synopsis of it. So it's about Oyster McKellen, who has spent his life causing mischief. Running with a small-time gang, he fleeces money from tourists in Hyde Park, supporting his family in place of his absent father. When a simple money drop descends into chaos, Oyster finds himself washed up on a beach surrounded by broken phones and shattered office furniture. His new world? Greater London, a city built on the detritus of our own, where skyscraper leviathans roam the seas, where ink beetles nestle beneath the skin, and where Oyster's father may well have escaped to all those years ago. But there is more at stake than family history. Something ancient is brewing, and Oyster's allegiances are torn between the enigmatic nonsuch, the eccentric escapist, Marya Petronov, and the terrifying Mr. Primrose. And he will have to choose quickly because his decisions will determine the fate of London's and life everywhere. So yeah, initially I don't think that this is really something that I will be interested in reading, but I am going to give it a try. I do like the fact that it's set in London, so that is one thing that may push me to pick this one up. But yeah, I do quite like the cover. So yeah, I will give it a go, but I'm not sure if it's going to be something that I will enjoy. And then I have a book which looks really interesting and something that I will enjoy. And this is called The Stone Witch of Florence. And this is by Anna Rascher. And this was sent to me by The Book Social, who I think are a new publisher. So yeah, thank you to them for sending this to me. So the synopsis of this one does sound really interesting, so I will read it. So it's set in 1348. As the Black Plague lays waste to Italy, Ginevra di Gasparo is summoned back to Florence after nearly a decade of lonely exile. Ginevra has a gift. Using the ancient practices of alchemy she learned as a young girl, she can heal the sick. But when word travelled of her unusual craft, she was condemned as a witch and banished. Now the same men who expelled Ginevra are begging for her return. She obliges, assuming the city's leaders are finally ready to accept her unorthodox cures amidst a pandemic. But upon arrival, she is tasked with a much different mission. She must use her collection of jewels to track down a ruthless thief who is ransacking Florence's churches for priceless relics, leaving mysterious vials of brightly coloured liquids in their place. If she succeeds, she'll be a recognised physician, never accused of witchcraft again. But as her investigation progresses, Ginevra discovers she's merely a pawn in a much larger scheme than the one she's been hired to solve, and the dangerous men behind this conspiracy won't think twice about killing a stone witch to get what they want. So this one is a historical fiction set in Florence, and I went to Florence a few years ago and absolutely loved it. And also I did do a bus tour around different parts of Tuscany, and they did talk a lot about how the plague in 1348 did cause a lot of devastation and killed a lot of people. And so this one sounds really interesting. So I'm going to like the historical elements, and also I think I will love the witchy elements in this one. So next, I think I will just move on to the general books that I hold in April and the start of May. And up first, I have Bones Never Lie by Kathy Reichs. And this one is part of a very big series. So I think it's called the Temperance Brennan series. But actually, this book series was inspiration for the TV show Bones, which I really enjoyed. But I did also read quite a lot of this series several years ago, and I would like to complete it. So actually, I think this is a random book in the series, so I think it's about book 15. So I may have got to kind of 10, 11 books. So there's probably a few books that I need to get in between this one before I read it. But yeah, it was £1.50 in the charity shop, so I thought I would pick it up as I saw it. Then I have a very short novella in the Shadowhunter series, and this is A Sea Change by Cassandra Clare. So yeah, I don't think I can read this novella yet until I complete the rest of the series. So I would ideally like to do a read of the whole Shadowhunters Chronicles this year, but I'm not sure if I will get around to it. So there is a new book in the series coming out, so I would like to read the whole series by November, but we'll see how it goes. So next I have 2 non-fiction books which I picked up at the North London Book Festival. So that was a series of talks by various authors. So one I did go to was Natalie Haynes talking about No Friend to This House, which is her book about Jason and the Argonauts and Medea. So yeah, I really enjoyed her talk, but I was lucky enough to get there early and get tickets to Laura Bates's talk. And these are the 2 books that I bought. So yes, she did a great talk on the impact of AI and how this is increasing hate crimes against women, and it's not really a regulated or safe space. And in actual fact, AI is reinforcing biases that are present in society and then making them even worse. So women tend to lose out a lot in AI, and they're also not present in testing of AI. And that was a really interesting talk, and one of her books does focus on that. That's the second one I hauled, but I'll just show you Men Who Hate Women, the extremism nobody's talking about. So in this, Laura Bates lifts the lid on the communities of men who hate women, going undercover both on and offline to explore the ideology and impact they have worldwide. And then the one that she was really mainly talking about is the new age of sexism, how the AI revolution is reinventing misogyny. So this book focuses on how AI is changing the way we live and love, and misogyny is baked into the design. New technologies are putting women in danger. So this talk was really good, but it was also very illuminating and quite depressing, I have to say. But I definitely recommend checking out Laura Bates because I think she does a podcast as well. Then I have a very beautiful edition that I picked up at TK Maxx, and this is Egyptian Myths and Legends. And yeah, this is Tales of the Gods and Goddesses. I'm not sure who it's by. I think it must just be collected retellings of myths. But I absolutely could not leave this one behind. So this is beautiful with the foiling and on the back as well. And then it also has these stunning edges. So yeah, as I am so into myths right now, I thought that I would pick this one up, as Egyptian myths is something I haven't explored so much. So yeah, I'm interested to read more of those. Then I have a anniversary special edition of Divergent by Veronica Roth. And yeah, I'm not sure how many years this has been, but she has also announced a new duology, which is set in this world. So yeah, I do enjoy this book series, so I wanted to pick up this special edition, and it does have some beautiful edges on it. And then also it does have a printed hardcover as well, which is foiled and sparkly. So yeah, that's a beautiful edition of this book. Then I have a YA dystopia, which is Survival Show by Juno Dawson. So yeah, I think this is a really pretty cover. It does have standard black sprayed edges, but this also has some very nice customizations on it. So this is the hardcover, and then the reverse dust jacket. So I think this is like a dystopia, and it's also a cross between like a dystopia and kind of X Factor and America's Next Top Model. So yeah, I think these women have to compete to be part of this pop group, and if they don't, they're basically eliminated. So yeah, killed. So this one does sound really interesting. I did like Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and yeah, I like Gina Dawson's writing, so I'm excited to pick that one up. So next I have book 2 in a romantasy series that I read earlier this year, and I did really enjoy that, and that was Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. So the sequel, Rites of the Starling, is out now. So yeah, I would like to read this quite soon while the first book is fresh in my mind. But I have to say I did order this one because of the special edition. So these sprayed edges, I think, are some of the most beautiful edges I have seen. And the first book was also so beautiful as well. And I think this does have other customizations too. So yeah, it has this on the hardcover. And then, yeah, it does have some pretty artwork, which is the same in the front and the back. So yeah, I am excited to continue with this series as I did really enjoy it. So I can't really say much about it without ruining the story, but it's set in this kingdom where our main character takes the place of her sister to go and marry a prince from another kingdom to form an alliance. There's also monsters in this world as well, and the world building in this is really good, so I would highly recommend reading it, even if you don't really think you're a fan of romantasy, as yes, there is quite a lot of a romantasy plot, but the actual world building and everything else is really well done too. So next I'll do some special editions that are sequels to books that I got in book subscription boxes. So the first is The Witch Without Memory, and this is by Maitri Wijesekera, and this is a sequel to The Prince of Sorrow and part of the Obsidian Throne series. So we follow this prince whose father has been responsible for wiping out the Marikari witches in this series, and he doesn't want to be like his father in his reign. So he is trying to right any wrongs that his father has done. And then there's also a witch whose family were wiped out, so she is one of the Marikari witches. And yeah, this was a really interesting first book, and I'm excited to read the sequel. But yeah, I'm loving the purple of this edition. So we also do have some very nice sprayed edges, and then some beautiful foiling on the book as well, and then some artwork. And yeah, I think this is part of a trilogy, so I'm thinking there is going to be another book as well. So yeah, I'm going to try and read this quite soon while it's fresh in my mind. So next up, I have a book that I have been waiting for so long. It has taken, I think, over a year now for this book to ship, and this is The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. And this is the sequel to The Crimson Moth, which is one of the books that I really enjoyed from FairyLoot, and yeah, it's one of my favourite books. So this is set in a world of witches and witch hunters. So we follow our main character, Rune, who is a witch, and she's from a lineage of witches. And an event that happened earlier in her life and at the start of book one has spurred her on to try and correct wrongs done against witches in this world. So witches are being captured and killed, and she wants to put a stop to that. So by day, she pretends to be a socialite, and by night, she acts as like a vigilante, rescuing the witches, and she is known as the Crimson Moth. And then she is pursuing Gideon, who is one of the well-respected witch hunters, and he is also trying to get close to Rune so that he can uncover her identity as the Crimson Moth. So they're both kind of lying to each other and double-crossing each other, and also forming this relationship. And I loved book one, so I'm really excited to read book two. And this is also, again, a stunning edition with those beautiful sprayed edges. And again, a very pretty printed hardcover with that foiling. And this is very similar to book one. And I love the artwork as well. And it's the same in the back. So I am really excited to read this. I'm really happy to finally get my hands on it. So yeah, it also does have this reverse dust jacket, which is the original cover, but in a different colourway. But yeah, I need to read this as soon as possible, because it also did end on a cliffhanger. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to be worth the wait. So next I have Brighter Than Nine, and this is by June C. L. Tan. And I think this is based on Asian mythology. And this is the sequel to Darker by Four, which I haven't read, but I wanted to make sure that I got the matching edition, and I just really hope I am going to enjoy it. But yeah, this has some beautiful sprayed edges. And yeah, I love the artwork in this too. So the naked hardcover is quite pretty. I like the colouring. And then we have the swords on the back. And then the artwork is very cool. So yeah, I did want to try and avoid buying sequels to books that I haven't read. But sometimes it's quite difficult with FairyLoot. If it sells out, you then can't get hold of it. So yeah, I do hope to try and be a bit better at this. So read the books before I buy the sequels. And again, some beautiful reverse dust jacket. I don't think that's the original cover, or maybe it is, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this is about actually. So yeah, I can't read the synopsis because it will spoil the first book. And then unfortunately another two which I haven't read the previous books for. So we have Heart So Green, and this is by Lyra Celine, and this is book 3 in this series. So yeah, this again has some beautiful edges. And yeah, some kind of plain cover, but some quite pretty artwork. And different in the back. But also I do like to have the full series so that when I come to read it, I can read it all together and not have to wait, because that's something I've found with series. I always forget what happens, and it would be good to just read them back to back, I think. So this was the original cover, and again, I think this is a different colour. But I think this is kind of fairy tale reimagining. I think it has the fae and the fair folk in it. So yeah, it does sound quite interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this one soon. But yeah, I'm going to have to obviously finish some other series first. If you haven't seen my series I'm in the middle of video, then do check that out, as I am in the middle of over 40 book series right now, so I can't start anymore. Then I have The Rebel and the Rose by Catherine Doyle, and this is book 2 in the City of Phantom series. Again, I haven't read the first book, but yeah, this one is stunning colour, and again, some beautiful sprayed edges. And book 1 is in kind of a red colour. But yeah, some beautiful foiling. So much foiling on these books. And then the artwork. And then the reverse dust jacket. So yeah, again, I'm not really sure what this book is about, and I don't want to read it. I don't want to get spoilt, but it did sound really good when I read the synopsis for book 1. So finally, I have made it to the last section, and this is my birthday book haul. So I was very lucky to receive quite a lot of books for my birthday this year. So apart from the 2 I mentioned earlier, so Flashlight and Dominion, I also had another couple of paperbacks, and then this exciting box set that I have right in front of me. So first up, I have Pasiphaë, and this is a Greek mythology retelling. This is by Jane Daugherty, and it's a reimagining of the story of the Queen of Crete before Theseus and the myth of the Minotaur replaced her historical reality. So yeah, if you've watched any of my channel, you'll know that I absolutely love mythology and Greek mythology right now. So I'm excited to read this one. And then I have another Greek mythology retelling, and this is Daughters of Sparta, and this is by Claire Hayward. So this tells the story of Clytemnestra and Helen. So I think it's going to focus on their relationship as sisters, and then also their marriages and their different experiences of their marriages. So this one sounds really interesting. So finally, the box set, which is actually 8 books, and it is a very popular fantasy series right now. And as there is a new book coming out later in the year and then one in January, I wanted to read this whole series. So the series is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So this is the paperback special box set with the rainbow books. So yeah, I will get these out, but you will remember maybe that at Christmas I hauled the ACOTAR box set. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to read the whole of the Maasverse before the new book comes out. So again, not sure if I'll manage it, but yeah, I am going to give it a go. So I have the Assassin's Blade. I'm not sure. I think this is one that can be read at various different points in the series. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to read up where I'm meant to read that. So the rest of the series is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and this absolute brick, Kingdom of Ash. So yeah, I'm not sure how well I'm going to get on with this. So I think this one is nearly 1,000 pages. Oh, it's just under, it's 984, this edition. So I think also as well, there's meant to be some kind of tandem read with these 2 books, where, yeah, they're the same events but told from different point of views. So I might do that tandem read. But yeah, I'm excited to read this series. So I did read Throne of Glass a few years ago and did enjoy it. But yeah, that's before I was really kind of aware of the power of the Maasverse. And yeah, I would like to read, I think, Throne of Glass first, and then ACOTAR, Thorns and Roses, and then reread Crescent City book 1 and 2, and then finally read the 3rd book in that series before the new books. But do let me know in the comments if you've read and enjoyed this series, and if there's any kind of recommended reading order that you would suggest for Throne of Glass and ACOTAR, and if there's specific series that I should read first, or should I mix different books from different series? Do let me know. So that is all of the books that I hauled in April and the start of May. I really need to try and do better, as I can't keep hauling all these books and only reading a small amount of them. It's getting a little bit out of hand. So yeah, I'm going to try my best to haul less. But as I said, it was my birthday month. There were some prizes that I wanted to buy the books for. So going forward, I should probably haul less. Do let me know in the comments if there's any books here that you've read, that you've enjoyed, any that you think I should prioritise, and any that you are interested to see me read sooner rather than later. If this was not enough of a book haul for you, then do check out my book haul playlist, where I have a lot more of my book hauls. And then also, if you're more interested in my book subscription box unboxings, then do check out this video, as this is the latest book subscription box unboxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.